Coming right up, a special edition of Straight Talk, the Port of Long Beach. Our guest tonight, Lorianne Guzman, President of the Long Beach Board of Harbor Commissioners, and Rick Cameron, Managing Director of Planning and Environmental Affairs for the Port of Long Beach, as we continue our 24th anniversary year.
Straight Talk is brought to you in part by the Port of Long Beach, a leader in international trade and environmental stewardship. And the Press Telegram, your local news leader for over 100 years. And Scan Health Plan, for your health and independence.
Join us for tonight's edition of Straight Talk. And now your host, Art Levine.
Good evening and welcome to Straight Talk. This is a special edition of our show focused on the Port of Long Beach, and our guest for the entire show is Lorianne Guzman, who's the President of the Long Beach Board of Harbor Commissioners. President Guzman, welcome to our show.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations on being appointed to the Harbor Commission. I know what an important position that is in our community.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor.
Yeah. Well, we are watching the cranes come in and the bridge going up and the middle harbor. Give us an update on how that all is going.
So the port is going through an extraordinary time right now. We are going through a $4 billion investment program in our infrastructure. We have a number of really amazing capital projects that are going to change the history and change the trajectory of our port complex as we know it. We have our Middle Harbor project, which will be the greenest terminal that we have, and also one of the greenest and most environmentally sustainable terminals in all of North America. So we're very excited about that. It'll be near zero emission, fully electric, and will reduce emissions significantly while at the same time creating new jobs. So it's a great balance of economic growth with environmental sustainability, bringing it all together very nicely. We also have our Gerald Desmond Bridge project, which, as you know, will also be a major factor in increasing the velocity of the cargo and the movement of cargo out of our facility and enabling us to be big ship ready, bringing those large container vessels here to Long Beach.
The industry is moving towards larger and larger vessels, and you need a deep channel and you need a higher bridge to accommodate those vessels visiting your port.
Absolutely. You need the combination of both. You need the depth that we have naturally in Long Beach, being a Pacific port, and we already have the deep water levels that you need, 55 feet, for example. But at the same time, we need to make sure that we can accommodate these mega vessels.
And the Benjamin Franklin, yes, the largest ship, recently visited 18,000 TEUs.
Correct, 18,000 TEUs, and at the Middle Harbor project, we'll actually be able to take in 22,000 container vessels. 24,000 container
So the
vessels.
movement in the industry is towards larger and larger and larger, and some of them are even too large to go through the expanded Panama Canal, which is helpful to us competitively.
Absolutely. So with the investments that we're making along with the Port of Los Angeles, we will be the hub for the big ships to come here into North America and make their way and their cargo through to the middle of the United States.
And I know that just physically, Long Beach, LA is closer to Asia than any other West Coast port by mileage.
That's correct, and I think that's what gives us that competitive edge, if you will. We are the shortest, the most direct route from the Far East to Middle America. It's about 19 days for us, while it might take anywhere between 24 to 30 days going through the Panama Canal or some of the alternative routes.
And I know Executive Director John Slangerup is a bear on through time and process. He was formerly with FedEx. And so he understands the time is money, whether it's in mail, packages, or in this case, ships. And so he looks at the whole thing as time from embarkation to destination and trying to cut more and more time off the trip.
Absolutely. We know that time is money, and so the most direct route is the one that's most beneficial to our customers, most beneficial to the consumer. They need our retail outlets, they need their goods at a certain time, and so we're able to provide that reliability, that rapidity, the velocity, and so we're really excited to have that competitive edge.
A ship does not make money for the owner when it's sitting at the docks, just
Correct.
Like a plane sitting in an airport isn't making any money for the airline. So you have an incentive to make that turnaround time as fast as possible.
We do, and that's also why we're investing in on-dock rail, for example, trying to increase our on-dock rail currently from 28% to about 50%. Same concept, making
Really?
sure
50%?
that over the next decade.
Really?
Yes.
And that takes trucks off the road, of course, and helps us motorists who have to go on those freeways with less trucks.
Less trucks, and it's also less pollution. So we're really
And less
excited
pollution.
about that.
Very exciting times, as you say. So what are your priorities as president of the Board of Harbor Commissioners?
My priorities as president of the board are shared. We're a great board. We have 5 extraordinary members who are very dedicated.
And you have 3 women on the board now.
We
The
do.
first time ever the women are in the majority,
Indeed.
whatever that means.
We're very excited about that.
Yeah.
It's the first time that we have an all-female slate of officers, and just a really amazing group of professionals. I'm so delighted and thankful to be working with folks who are just pioneers in their industries. They're experts in their fields, and they bring a collective savvy and business acumen to the port that I think is really valuable. But our priorities right now are threefold, really. It's to promote trade, it's to make sure that we are financially sustainable over the long term, and also making sure that we're guiding the port's development in a way that makes sense for the long term.
And our port is known throughout the world as a cutting edge in green technology, I understand.
It is. I mean, we are known as the Green Port. We're now making sure that our customers and the world understands that we're the Green Port of the future. We're very forward thinking, but our green initiatives really date back to our Green Port policy, our landmark policy that we adopted going on 11 years now ago. And it really changed the landscape, I think, for ports globally. And so other ports throughout the world, they look to the Port of Long Beach and what we've done. We've cut emissions by 85%. That helps the community while still sustaining very strong economic growth. And so I think what we've proven at the Port of Long Beach is that you can grow your business while at the same time taking care of the community, taking care of the environment, and doing it in a way that's really responsible and green.
It's great that the port has that sense of social responsibility. We'll talk later in a little more detail about it. And not only in keeping the port green, as you point out, but also helping in other areas of our city with supporting worthwhile projects. In the next segment, we're going to be joined by Rick Cameron, who's the Managing Director of Planning and Environmental Affairs. Stay with us.
At the Port of Long Beach, we're not only delivering jobs, smart ideas, and forward-thinking environmental initiatives. We're also delivering opportunity for all of Southern California. Oh, and a clearer horizon line. To learn more, go to POLB.com, the Port of Long Beach, thinking outside the docks.
At Performance Plus Tire, you'll find we carry Toyo tires. For over 50 years, Toyo has been a world leader in the development of high-quality tires. Optimum performance, safety, and a comfortable ride. That's what makes Toyo tires great. And now come into Performance Plus Tire for a great deal on these Toyo tires. Proxys ST, Open Country AT, and Proxys 4. Toyo tires, driven to perform. Come in today and we'll install new Toyo tires on your vehicle while you wait. Performance Plus Tire on Cherry Avenue, 1 mile north of the 405 in Long Beach.
Welcome back to the special edition of Straight Talk, focused on the Port of Long Beach. We're joined now by Rick Cameron, who's the Managing Director of Planning and Environmental Affairs for the Port. Rick, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Art.
What do you see as the environmental priorities for the Port now?
Well, as President Guzman just alluded to, our board just reconfirmed their commitment to our Green Port policy just this last July. And we've been remarkably successful in the last 11 years with regards to implementing our Clean Air Action Plan with the Port of Los Angeles, as well as all of our stakeholders, including the community. The community really deserves a lot of credit for really holding our feet to the fire on our commitments for cleaning the air and having healthy communities. So with that commitment, our board is also, with the leadership of President Guzman, has directed staff working with the Port of Los Angeles to develop what we call CAP 3.0. And so that's a really big effort we're working on right now.
What does that stand for?
It's the Clean Air Action Plan, and it's the San Pedro Bay Clean Air Action Plan, otherwise known as CAP. And so
the Port of LA is aboard this common effort.
It is a partnership. In 2006, we developed what we call the first San Pedro Bay Clean Air Action Plan, or the CAP, and it's a joint effort, and it looks at strategies for the entire San Pedro Bay. There are many programs, such as the Clean Trucks program, who has been award-winning, very successful in cleaning up all the port trucks that come and go through our neighborhoods and go up the I-710, and as well as cold ironing or shore power. Those are really big programs.
So the ships come in and they plug in, instead of keeping their diesel engines going, which is dirty,
correct.
They plug in like we do at home, but it's much bigger.
Exactly.
And they use electricity.
Exactly. Huge investment by the port. Another also a huge investment for our customers in the shipping lines that come to the port. But the emissions benefits are remarkable. And so once again, as President Guzman alluded to, we've invested a lot, but it also is investment of our customers, and they understand the importance of this. And that is only going to make us more successful in the future. And that's what we're focused on with our Clean Air Action Plan 3.0, is not just looking at the technologies in terms of equipment, but also looking at efficiencies. It's a really big thing, as you alluded to earlier with my boss, John Sengler, heading up what we call our supply chain optimization. So we're going to take a lot of those strategies to look for being more efficient in our business, as well as really focusing on the next evolution of technologies for zero emission.
Talk about this Energy Island project that's upcoming.
Energy Island is really it's a long range concept of an energy program. It really is a connection to our environmental efforts.
Is the concept that you want to build your own power plant there?
No, I think the title takes a life of its own a little bit. It really is looking for the future infrastructure we need to support our zero emission technologies.
And what kinds of things might that include?
Really everything. Our board just approved an efficiency program, a match program, really which is looking for what we call low-hanging fruit, changing out old lights, being more efficient with our existing infrastructure. In the long range, we're really looking for strategies. We're developing a roadmap that would look at things such as possibly fuel cells, expanding upon our renewables such as solar, and as well as really trying to have more energy management systems in place. And so what we're going to be doing is possibly looking at a couple pilot projects to test out some of these strategies and see how they fit within the overall port complex in our operations.
And I know on the bridge you built a bikeway, and with kudos to the late Mark Bixby for really pushing that. But that is environmentally friendly addition to this $1 billion+ bridge.
It really is. The port, with the leadership of our board and our local elected officials and community, We really are looking for active connections, walking paths, the bike paths, linking in really what I call the east side and into integration into our city's bike master plan.
Sure.
We can't have bikes roaming all around the port, but I think we can find ways to connect back into the community, into our city, and have that active transportation in safe areas of the port.
And President Guzman mentioned in the first segment Middle Harbor and the environmental benefits that flow from Middle Harbor, but there also are efficiencies in operations for Middle Harbor.
That is correct. I mean, that Middle Harbor there's a lot of people looking at Middle Harbor and wanting to see how it really is going to work, because it really is the first fully electrified marine container terminal in the United States. The way it's been designed and set up.
So it's so
really
exciting to me that we're doing cutting edge stuff, Lori, here in Long Beach, not only benefiting the shippers and benefiting the port, but just aesthetically to be the first and the greenest. It's kind of exciting.
Well, we're known for being global trendsetters. And so these are just some of the things that we're doing to set ourselves apart, to increase our competitiveness, but to show the world that you can be environmentally sustainable, you can give back to the community, you can grow the business. All of these things are doable. They're not mutually exclusive.
So you've been with the port for, I think, 15, 20 years, something like that?
About 17 years overall. Yeah.
So it must be exciting to work in a place that is cutting edge like this.
It's never a dull moment working at the port. Yeah. There's always great opportunities. I think with the leadership of our board today, the past, and I know in the future, as President Guzman alluded to, we're starting to look for the long range of the green port of the future, and we're thinking about our strategies now. We have to watch out in the near term, but we also need to be thinking about the long term, and that's something that the board has been working with staff to develop more of our strategic plan and how are we going to get to be the green port of the future. We're excited about a lot of things that we are doing. We have what we call a land use study, and that's something that really the board will be presented, and we're going to be having some study sessions and also engaging other stakeholders, our community stakeholders, to get their input in this and have some options and some flexibility for the future.
Well, Rick, thank you so much for joining us. Let me just point out that the top of the bridge will be the tallest point in downtown Long Beach, taller even than the World Trade Center. So it'll be an iconic bridge lit up at night. Can't wait to see it. Thanks so much for joining us, Rick.
Thank you so much, Art.
Stay with us. We'll be back with more of our show after these messages.
How do you like your chances the rest of the way?
I got no idea. But I do know that if we stay with Naples Rib Company, at least we won't go hungry.
Coach, what do you think about some of those questionable calls tonight?
Yeah, but if you want a sound call, I'd call Naples Rib Company. You can't miss on that call.
Then Naples Rib Company is part of your game plan?
There really is nothing more motivating than a great barbecue meal at Naples Rib Company.
Victory or not, Naples Rib Company, great game plan.
Founded in 1976, Polly's Gourmet Coffee is Southern California's most complete gourmet coffee store. Polly's has the best tasting coffee, freshly roasted every day right in the store, plus a wide selection of teas, an in-house bakery, espresso bar, patio dining, and more. We also offer Wi-Fi, free internet access for all of our customers. Our nationwide clientele agree when it comes to coffee, there's only one name to remember, Polly's, 4606 East 2nd Street, welcoming you into Belmont Shore.
Phone! Does anybody work here? Jeez. Satellite TV, what's the problem?
I have a question about my bill.
And since you merged with the phone company, I don't know who I'm supposed to call.
Well, you should probably call the phone company.
I did. They told me to call you.
Please call them back and tell them that we told you to call them.
They told me you tell me that.
And told me to call you.
Let me transfer you directly to the phone company then.
It's time to move on from satellite. For customer service without the runaround, get Spectrum.
They transferred him back, sir.
We're back continuing a conversation with President Lori Guzman. Lori, what are the current operational challenges for the port?
Our current operational challenges stem mostly from the weakening economy. So we have a situation right now where the United States economy is still growing, but at a very small rate. As you know, GDP for this first quarter of the fiscal year, or of the calendar year, was only 0.5%, which marks a slowdown from the previous quarter of 1.7%. And so we're seeing flat to very little growth. It's the same abroad. European economy is also slowing down. And of course, we've been hearing consistently in the news about the Chinese economy. And so all of those things obviously impact trade, they impact cargo volumes. We did have record volumes last year, and we're seeing that slow down. And so for us, the biggest challenge will be, as a board, is to make sure that we're still growing our business, but in a way that's financially sustainable given the market challenges that we're facing.
And it's a very competitive business with other ports. Shippers have choices of where they go, and you need to maintain your efficiencies to make Long Beach the most attractive possible port to these shippers that do have these options.
Absolutely. We're not resting on our laurels. We're not assuming that because we have the most direct route or that we have this $4 billion capital investment program that the business will necessarily come to us. And so we also implement a very strong personal touch. We believe in customer service. Our staff and the board, we traveled all over the world in the last 12 to 18 months, meeting with terminal operators, retailers, beneficial cargo owners to seal those relationships.
And that's particularly important in the culture of many of those Asian countries. They want
Indeed.
that personal.
Yes, they want to know that their business partner cares about them, their needs, and that we're planning for the future.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I wish more American companies would adopt that attitude instead of it all being dollars and cents and transactional.
I think the personal touch matters, and the customer service is really important, and that's not something that we're going to give up on, despite all of our other, what we believe to be competitive advantages.
Well, let's spend a moment getting up personal with you as the president, and you and your two female colleagues have a majority on the board now, but you grew up in New York, as I did, and what brought you to California?
So I came to California in 1999 with my first husband, and so I was able to actually make the cross-country venture, and I came from the public sector in New York and then entered into the private sector here, working for one of the Wall Street firms located right here in Long Beach, Smith Barney, at the World Trade Center. And then I decided I wanted to go back into public service.
Why?
I found
you
that...
You can probably make more money down with a Wall Street type firm, but you wanted to feel that what you were doing had some social significance?
Well, I learned a couple of things about myself. One is I'm not driven by money, and so that was a challenge for me. I also found that I just love giving back to the community, and I love the dynamic nature of local government, where you're providing
it's where the
a
rubber
multitude.
Meets,
it's where the rubber meets the road, and you're providing a multitude of services to the public, and you have that one-on-one contact with your residents, with the businesses.
And particularly in Long Beach, which is this, even though it's the 7th largest city and the 33rd largest
community.
It's the biggest small city in America, we like to say.
Very, very hometown feel.
Yep.
People are very passionate about the issues and the community that we serve. And so I found that that's just more, I'm more passionate about that kind of work.
And you worked for the city of Long Beach, I think as director of finance for a while, and now you're down in Huntington Beach.
Yes, so I was city controller for some time for the city of Long Beach, and then I became the chief financial officer during the Great Recession. So it was a very tough time.
Yeah.
I worked with Mayor Bob Foster and city manager Pat West and an amazing council that I think did a great job to make sure that the city didn't overextend itself. And now I am the finance director for the city of Huntington Beach.
Wow. Well, what you said about giving back, Long Beach has so many nonprofit entities with people involved in giving back through the nonprofit world, which is an expanding area of our economy generally, but particularly in Long Beach. And it's that sense of community that you refer to, I think, that makes Long Beach very special. You probably suffered from culture shock, as I did when I first moved from New York City out to Long Beach.
I did. In the beginning was a hard adjustment. I think just not having the same opportunities for the walkability, for one, and getting
Yes.
to know the
But
different
now we're
communities
becoming a
on foot.
walkability.
We
You
are.
see, we're following in the footsteps of New York.
Indeed.
Weren't we rated one of the top 10 cities recently for walkability,
Yes.
which is a word I'd never heard of before.
Yeah,
But
it is fantastic. It's a great way to connect communities as well. And so, but it was a bit of a culture shock when I first moved out here. But
we adapt.
I love the
And
city.
yeah, me
And raising our children here is really important as well. And so,
Yeah.
really excited to be a part of this dynamic.
And how do you
city.
view your future? I mean, this is not a full-time job, although it takes a lot of time, and you have to travel, be away from home, be away from your kids, as was mentioned in the last segment, because of the need for personal touch. But where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years?
That's a good question. I think I love the public sector. I'll probably still remain in the public sector. I also love finances, and so maybe an opportunity at the state level. I have worked for a state government in the past. I used to work for the New York State Division of the Budget. Something that I would be interested in.
The numbers don't change, except the deficits seem to change as you get further away from local cities. Well, that's not fair to the state because we do balance it, but Washington certainly.
Well, we balance it now. We do a much better job at balancing at the state level now, and so that's great. We definitely
But
see
Washington
a change there.
is out of control. They just print money there.
Well, I think this is why you need strong leadership in
Yes.
all of these arenas.
Leadership is so important to any institution, isn't it? Whether it's a corporation, a university, a country. With good leadership, good things happen. With bad leadership, not the same.
It's for me, I find it's leadership and courage. You have to have the courage to make the tough decisions when the tough decisions need to be made, and to have the courage to stand up for doing what's right. And it sounds very cliche, but when I've seen cities or states go down a bad financial path, it's basically that lack of courage. And so I think we have great leadership at the port, great leadership at the city. So I'm very optimistic and bullish about our future.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because as a professor retired of not only legal studies but of ethics, it is so important, and good leadership makes all the difference, and integrity and the courage to make the tough decisions, even if not popular. Jack Kennedy wrote a book, Profiles in Courage, years ago, my first presidential vote, and it's sad to say there are not a lot of examples of profiles in courage these days.
It's definitely getting a bit tougher, that's for sure, but I think that's why we need to develop the youth and make sure that we're instilling these values in them, because they are the future, and the port invests in a lot of programs for children too.
Scholarships, absolutely.
Scholarships and internships, and so
you take
helping to develop that.
You take some of our Long Beach State students that have had very successful careers at your port, so we
do.
Thank you for that.
We give back to the community quite a bit, and so that's one of the things that we're most proud of.
Wonderful. Okay, we'll be back with the rest of our show after these messages.
Phil Trainees mixes California style with continental cuisine that includes fresh seafood from around the world. Since Phil is the chef, the menu has a wide variety of pastas, salads, soups, and appetizers that feature his unique personal touch. And the Italian-American signature dishes are simply beyond delicious. You never know who you're going to run into at Trainees, from the famous sports legends on the Wall of Fame to local celebrities having a drink at the bar. For the best fine dining experience, visit Phil Trainees.
You've been planning this moment for a long time. It couldn't be a more perfect moment. And you have the perfect ring that will tell her, I want to love you forever. But nothing is perfect.
Don't listen to that guy. He got the ring at McCarty's.
McCarty's makes a moment.
Long Beach is very fortunate to have a world-class port like the Port of Long Beach as part of our community. 1 out of every 8 jobs in this area is attributable to the port. So it's a major economic engine, and we're the beneficiaries of having it. Lori, thank you for joining us, and any last words for our viewers?
Yes, thank you, Art, for having me, and on behalf of the Board of Harbor Commissioners, we're just thrilled to be a part of the community. We have an amazing group of talented staff, and we believe that we need to deliver jobs, we need to protect the environment, we need to be socially responsible, and we're achieving all of those things. with the great leadership of our mayor, our elected officials, our city council, and just so thrilled to be a part of the community. So thank you.
Thank you again for joining us. Thank you at home for being our guest. Please be with us next week for the next edition of Straight Talk. Good night, everyone.
Straight Talk has been brought to you by the Port of Long Beach, the Press Telegram, and Scan Health Plan. And remember, Straight Talk is viewable 24/7 at straighttalktv.com.